I'm back on my.
What's up, y'all? Thank you so much for tuning in to my video today. Today I'm going to be touring about 3 or 4 apartments. Today I'm going to be looking at 4 apartments today. First one, I'm probably going to be about 5 minutes late, but this one is going to be downtown near Lake Eola. In today's video, I'm going to be putting the prices, also the name of the apartments, if you want to be able to check them out. And yeah, that's all. And I'll see you in a bit once I get there. Hey y'all, so this is for the Mandarin. I'm gonna do a debrief after this as well, but I just wanted to add the only weird thing that I found with this building was that it had a smell in the lobby, and then the air conditioning wasn't consistent in the hallways whatsoever. Like certain hallways were hotter and humid than others, and then some of them were cool just fine. So that was just one thing I felt like was off about this building, aside from the short ceilings as well, that I'll talk about in a debrief. Okay, so I really didn't. I didn't really expect it. Like that was like one of my top like buildings that I wanted to see. But for the apartment that he showed me, I really loved the view that was there. However, the ceilings were a bit low, and then the apartments that did have the 12-foot ceilings were also too small compared to what I have now. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit spoiled with my 1,000 square foot apartment. So the ones that he was showing me were like mostly on the lower end of like 700 square foot. So it's like a give or take thing. It's like, you know, if you want the 12-foot ceilings and a little bit more room, you won't be able to have a balcony with the view. If you wanted the apartment with the view and a balcony, you will have the regular size ceilings, and it kind of really, quite honestly, felt very small to me, especially coming from my current apartment. So I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit gonna be at the bottom of my list of picks. And then also for the dates, the move-in dates that I'm targeting, most of the apartments were like $2,200 a month. And I'm just like, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not really 100% sold on it yet, but really nice building. Some certain parts did have a weird smell, like the lobby smelled like, I don't want to say sewer, but like someone farted or something. And then some floors, it just felt like the AC wasn't working or something. So I don't know. I was a little bit about it. So my next appointment isn't until 12. It's 11:22. So I'll get back to y'all for the second apartment that I had my eyes on for a while now. And yeah, see you in a bit. So next up, we have Madara Creator Village. This was actually one of my top picks. If you plan on living in the downtown location or area, I highly recommend this building, as it's newer than the previous one. It's actually part of a phase plan that or the city of Orlando is building. It's multiple apartments that are part of that phase plan. As you can see, this apartment had the same finishes and touches, but just looked fresher and a lot more room than the previous apartment complex. They're both in the same price range. However, I will give props to this building for having very interesting floor plans on paper or on apartments.com. This 740 square foot apartment would look small, and compared to what I have now, it does look small. But as you can see, that patio is stretching alongside the whole side of the apartment. And with the big picture windows, it just brings in a lot of light and makes it feel bigger than what it is. I will say for this building, their floor plans go by quickly. So you may see one and then the next day it may be gone. Now, this is the second floor plan that includes a den. As you can see here, it has a door that you're able to slide in front of it. So really, it's a slick way to have a 2 bedroom without saying it's a 2 bedroom. I love that because it gives me an option for my home office for work. Now, this is also one of my top picks. This property actually highly reminds me of my current property when I first drove up to it, how very tropical and bright it looks around the property, as well as the clean grounds as well and neatly cut grass. I really did enjoy this apartment. Some things you can see finishes wise are quite similar to what's at the other two properties. Just a little bit of a downgrade, as you can see in the mirrors and everything else. She did show me two big floor plans. That's what I will say about this property is that it has a lot of floor plans that are just over 800 square foot, which is something that was at the top of my list. Hey, y'all. So this is the debrief of everything. Personally, for the first apartment, the modern, I didn't really feel like for the price that you pay, you really get the value. And it was just too many downsides. It's like the guest parking was very small, the apartment felt small, and then the first floor, because their first floor is technically on like the third or fourth floor or something like that. Those apartment ceilings were high just like this one. However, they only had that in like a studio style apartment, and then also it didn't have a balcony. So I think that would more than likely get knocked off the list. Now, I will say a peculiar thing for the downtown apartments. I did notice that the income requirement for a lot of them show 2.5 income requirement, so you have a higher chance of getting approved. However, a lot of these apartments as well are like $1,900 to $2,100 a month once you include the taxes and fees and everything for the property. So, take what you can with that as well, how much you'll be paying towards the rent every month. I would like to say for the Madura on Chatham Avenue, I really like that building. I felt like it was more up to my standards and like comparable to right now in my apartment, the amenities, the finishes on your furniture, like the cabinets and stuff, and clean floors. Oh, that was another thing. With the Motorin, it was kind of weird. Like each floor smelled different. Like, how for most like, clubhouses and like hallways at apartment complexes, a lot of times those they smell really nice. Like they have some kind of like air filter perfume or air conditioned perfume that just goes through the vents. As long as you're in a hallway or in a clubhouse or in a lobby, the lobby smelled really nice. However, it felt like they were covering up a specific smell, like a sewer farty smell. And then it was like the certain floors didn't have AC running. It was very mildewy feeling, kind of humidity in the air. And it just felt off. Pretty much every apartment that I have toured and end up signing with always been good off the first impression vibes. Like I had no issue. And I don't know, I just felt like the vibes were off for the first one. The second one was pretty fine. I felt like the leasing agent maybe was a little bit half listening to me, just trying to get things done quickly or whatever. So I'm not going to lie. It's a little bit on the rougher side of town, depending on how far you go out. But the area that it's in is a new development area. It's all a part of the city of Orlando phase plans. So they have different phases. I believe they're like on phase 5. So each building is like a new phase of that neighborhood. So right now they're building another phase, which is supposed to be in front of like the Kia Center, or I think this may be the new health building. It's like a new hospital, basically. So either one of those, it's either going to be like a shopping center / hotel and luxury apartment building, or it's going to be the new Orlando health building downtown. So I did notice that construction was going on. None of them where I was facing. I hope I'm saying it, Uduna Park, however you say it. That was a really nice area. It reminds me of how Lee Vista is around here. It looks very family oriented. I saw a lot of high schools, middle schools, and everything. Not that I have a child, but I see that it's very safe and family, oriented neighborhood. I really like first impression, like riding up to the apartment. I also noticed how well maintained the landscape was. It gave me the same impression as my current apartment. When I drove up to it, I was like, oh, this is real nice. Like, this looks like a resort. And then the pool also looked like a resort pool, resort style pool. It was very nice. I was very impressed by that. The apartment itself, the finishing touches were fine. I wouldn't say luxury, but I would say fine. Compared to what I have right now, of course, I'm a little bit spoiled. None of the apartments had like tray ceilings. However, the granite counters as well were different. But the apartment was pretty decent size. It had a screened-in porch, which is something that I did not ever think about that I would need, that I turned out possibly would recommend to have on my balcony. So I did like that it had a screen-in porch for me to be able to sit on in my egg chair over here, but you can't see it. But yeah, so this is just the part 1 of the Orlando apartment tour. I'll be doing a part 2 next week. Another 3 apartments in a different side of town, which is going to be Millennia / SeaWorld. And then the last part, which will be part 3, which will be on the Azalea Park, Winter Park, Oviedo side of town. Alrighty? See you guys in the next one.